بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. In the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Deriving the rule of al-mut'atayn from the Sunni saheeh books. The definition of al-mut'atayn, the two mut'as. The first one is mut'atul hajj, which is the pleasure of performing umrah to the hajj. The second one is mut'atun nisa, the mut'a of women, which is the temporary marriage to a specified period of time. The Islamic schools of thought have agreed about the legalization of the two mut'as at the beginning of Islam. This is due to the revelation of two holy verses with clear and evident legalization of the two mut'as. One of them in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 196. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. فَإِذَا أَمِنْتُمْ فَمَنْ تَمَتَّعَ بِالْعُمْرَةِ إِلَى الْحَجِّ فَمَا اسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدْيِ. Translation: and when you are in peaceful conditions again, if anyone wishes to continue the Umrah onto the Hajj, he must make an offering such as he can afford. And the other verse is in Surah An-Nisa, verse 24. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. فَمَا اسْتَمْتَعْتُمْ بِهِ مِنْهُنَّ فَآتُوهُنَّ أُجُورَهُنَّ فَرِيضَةً. Translation: for the pleasure you obtained from them, pay them their reward as an obligation. To remove the doubts from your hearts, we will mention the reasons of revelation of verse 424, as mentioned in the most prominent books of tafsir for Ahl Sunnah. This is to show you the Islamic agreement about the revelation of this verse in the occasion of legalizing the temporary marriage. The first one is Al-Qurtubi in his tafsir of verse 424. He says, and the general public has said that the meaning is the temporary marriage which was at the beginning of Islam. Ibn Abbas, Ubay and Ibn Jubayr have read the verse as Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. فَمَا اسْتَمْتَعْتُمْ بِهِ مِنْهُنَّ إِلَىٰ أَجَلٍ مُسَمًّى فَآتُوهُنَّ أُجُورَهُنَّ فَرِيضَةً. Translation: for the pleasure you obtained from them to a specified period of time, pay them their reward as an obligation. Then the Prophet made it haram. The reference: Al-Jami' li Ahkam al-Qur'an for the Qurtubi, Surah An-Nisa, verse 24, page 8, and I have pasted the website as you see. The second prominent Sunni Mufassir, Fakhruddin al-Razi, in the tafsir of 424, he says, and the second opinion is that the meaning of this verse is the rule of temporary marriage. It is when a man rents a woman with a specific sum of money to a specific period of time and have intercourse. They all agreed that it was allowed at the start of Islam. Then later on, Razi says, and they argued whether it became abrogated or no. The majority of the Ummah said that it got abrogated. However, some said that it remained halal as it was. This opinion is narrated through Ibn Abbas and Imran ibn Hussein. In the case of Ibn Abbas, there are three narrations, one of them contending an absolute legalization. Umara said, I asked Ibn Abbas, what is mut'a? Is it fornication or marriage? He said, not fornication and not marriage. I said, then what is it? He said, it is mut'a as Allah described it in the Qur'an. I said, does it have an iddah? He said, yes, the iddah of it is one cycle. I said, do they inherit? He said, no. The reference, Mafatih al-Ghayb, Al-Tafsir al-Kabir for Al-Razi, Surah An-Nisa, verse 24, page page 10 and 11 on the website that I have pasted here. The difference occurred about the remaining of the lawfulness of temporary marriage. While the 12 Imams of Ahlul Bayt maintained that the mut'ah remained lawful, the Ahlus Sunnah schools of thought stressed the prohibition and the abrogation of the rule of mut'ah, either by the Prophet himself or by the Islamic Khilafah represented by Umar ibn al-Khattab at that time. Some of the early scholars said that Umar himself was the one who forbade temporary marriage during the time of his leadership. They derived their opinions from the narrations which stated that Umar was the one who prohibited the temporary marriage and not the Prophet Muhammad. They excused the second Khalifa by saying that the leader of the Islamic nation has the right to change or abrogate the rules of the Qur'an if he saw a benefit in that. On the other hand, most of the later scholars had a different opinion. They said that the prohibition was made by the Prophet himself, and Umar was only confirming it and communicating it to those who did not hear the news from the Prophet, and that's why people have mistakenly thought that Umar was forbidding it based on his own opinion.